I don't know if it's his weakest movie, but it's definitely not as strong as Worst Person in the World.
Det är på tiden att vi sätter oss ner och pratar, du och jag. Är inte det?
Drive-by movies you're watching.
Fresh releases.
My name's Blaise.
And I'm James.
And this week we're talking Joachim Trier's newest film, Sentimental Value.
Ni två är ju det bästa som har hänt mig.
Bästa som har skett dig? Ska vi värta lite mer då?
Coming off of lots of Oscar nominations the other week, Sentimental Value is about an intimate exploration of family, memories, and the reconciliatory power of art. So just a few weeks ago, we checked out a movie that had to do with like kind of the love for film, but also what it takes away from people having a normal life in a Netflix movie called crap. I can't even remember the name of that movie reviewed.
Jake Kelly.
Jake Kelly. Only been a couple weeks. And, you know, that wasn't a movie that we were like trashing, but we were just saying it was kind of dull and just like kind of like, I don't feel bad whatsoever. And just like, I get it. Like, it's a good story. But it's been done. And here we are, pretty much the same exact plot. But Joachim Trier just really knows how to make movies look so interesting with just the way he shoots, like just movies that are like very slow paced, like The Most Beautiful or The Worst Person in the World. Like just an example of that movie. There was no reason to have that freezing moment. And there's lots of sequences like that with terms of flashbacks that just he uses that just make a story that might seem basic and has been done before feel refreshing. What a film, despite it not being the most original. I loved it. What are your thoughts coming out of it?
I will say that Noah Baumbach is out there pissed that Jake Kelly wasn't in Norwegian. I think he probably thinks that would have been the play because it's the same fucking movie. He didn't get a single nomination and he's out there pissed, I feel like, about it. Anyways, I'm kind of pissed that we watched Jake Kelly and that Jake Kelly and this movie are so similar in a way, because I feel like it almost stole the thunder of this movie. Like, I still really enjoyed this movie, but you know what I'm saying, where it feels like I was trotting over ground that had it's not the same movie, but it's loosely kind of about a very similar thing where I'm like, dude, I feel like I just watched this movie. This is obviously the much better version, but I am kind of annoyed that they were so similar. And I'm not saying that anyone was stealing anyone's ideas. I think it's just parallel thinking about similar stuff. And Sentimental Value is clearly the better film here. And like you said, I enjoyed the moments where Joachim Trier was kind of doing his thing with these like cinematic flourishes. I think especially about the way this film started was so him, like the way it started talking about the house, and it was like these kind of like flashbacks and this narration. But I feel like he took his foot off the gas. There's a couple other moments. There's a cool, interesting like moment where their faces are kind of like molding together. They're shot and like there's a light that's circulating a room and circulating their faces, showing the shadows, and they're all like cross dissolved over each other. I thought that was really cool. But I feel like he took his foot off the gas a little bit and with those kind of cinematic flourishes, and I kind of wish that he maybe included more, maybe return to the house. We have especially a important scene in the end about the house being like it being modernized and he's you know focusing on his house. He's kind of let this crack kind of take over and neglected the house essentially. And now he's like putting a little bit more love and attention towards it after his accident. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. It was very beautiful. I kind of wish we didn't watch Jake Kelly before this, just because they work similarly about, you know, a Hollywood person and their struggling relationship with their daughter.
Like his isms, I guess, that we've seen in like other movies, like Oslo, August 31st, I believe that movie was called. We do see it, but definitely not as much. One thing with a lot of Trier's movies, though, is that they are on the longer side. So I forget about how good they are. Like one of the movies I always wonder is like, or one of the things I always remember with movies is just like how much is the rewatchability account of it. And all his movies are always movie where I always do want to revisit them, but it's just because they're on the longer side though. Like I kind of forget about them. And then also just because it's a movie that I've seen before and I know that it's going to be heavy on the emotional aspect of it. Like this is stuff that I can't really relate to. I'm not an actor or actress. I'm not a father, but still though, just like with the performances though, just like you see the vulnerability of just like kind of the way they speak with each other. But this movie also just has not a lot of speaking. It's all in the tone and voice and eyes of the actors. And I think that's where the movie shines, and definitely through Trier's direction in this movie too. Just he knows, I mean, bringing her back with this movie, I thought like, they had a great relationship with the last movie and definitely shows again within this movie. But Stellan Skarsgård, he's always been a fantastic actor that we always see in kind of villainous roles. And it was nice to see him just kind of play this very similar role that we saw in Jake Kelly, but just like kind of see him just be more vulnerable and more of a normal kind of person, I guess you could say.
And I think like, sorry to go back to Jake Kelly again. I do think that it is such a difference that obviously Jake Kelly's playing an actor where Stellan's playing the director here, and Stellan approaches that similar kind of topic in a very different way where he's more reserved. He's definitely somebody who has more faults. Not that Jake Kelly doesn't have faults, but just he's somebody that has more faults in the fact that he's neglected pretty much his daughters for a long time. They've worked together in the past, and he's kind of returning to do this very personal film about their generational trauma. Wants his daughter to act in the movie, but ends up after she turns it down, picking this huge American actress, Rachel Kemp, who's played by Elle Fanning. And I feel like Elle Fanning gave this role something that I don't know if many other actresses would give it that same kind of thing. I feel like Elle Fanning's having this little renaissance right now with Predator, Badlands, that just recently came out in theaters. I think this came out kind of shortly after that. And I feel like she was somebody that we maybe almost forgot about as like a child star, and then wasn't really in a ton of stuff, and then kind of just popped up randomly here in 2 movies. And I feel like this movie really showcases kind of the effortlessness that she approach this role with. It just feels like so natural for her to be playing Rachel Kemp here, and gives it this kind of human aspect that somebody that maybe would be in that role might not feel as authentic, I feel like.
Right, yeah. I thought she was very well casted and very kind of unexpected, just because I haven't really seen any movies with Elle Fanning outside of just like Neon Demon and then the Predator movie. We just watched this earlier this year. So yeah, she's very diverse with the characters that she plays and everything. When I think of her, I always think of kind of just like Maleficent, I guess. Like she was actually a Disney princess in that movie. And, like I know she's done a lot of popular like mainstream movies like that. Also a lot of like romantic comedies based off of young adult novels, I believe. But just she feels very natural, just kind of not herself essentially, but just playing a very popular actress model. But she's very vulnerable in this role. And I loved her sequences with the family too, of just being like, like just kind of like approaching like how do I play a character when the real life person is right here, essentially. She brings a lot of those great moments and brings out a lot of like cool sequences or a lot of cool moments between the actors, just like trying to open up amongst a family, but they can't, but just like in a work environment, see that like kind of come together. I thought worked really well. And again, under Trier's just great direction of just getting his actors like have this vulnerable feeling.
Yeah, I will say I think we've watched pretty much all of Trier's movies. The only one we haven't seen, or I haven't seen, I know for sure, is Thelma. I think
Right.
I've seen pretty much everything else. And I will say I do feel like coming off that huge kind of, I forget if Worst Person in the World won anything, but just the kind of that big coming out party essentially for him at the Oscars and his co-writer. It does feel like they're returning, to do this movie. It does feel like this is a little bit, it is kind of like that emotional family drama about generational trauma. It does feel like this is, I don't know if it's his weakest movie, but it's definitely not as strong as Worst Person in the World and some of his past works. Honestly, actually, Louder Than Bombs is probably his weakest movie, if I'm going to be real here. But that was his,
Yeah,
first English language film, and then he kind of did the kind of Bong Joon-ho thing, returning to do his version of Parasite, which feels like worst person in the world. So I feel like their career trajectories have been kind of similar. But yeah, like this, I feel like it is a more restrained version of his movies, and it probably works better on a broader scale. But for me, I do feel like, as much as I did enjoy this movie, I feel like I did want more after Worst Person in the World was that big kind of Oscars coming out party, in a way, award season coming out party. You know, he's already been recognized at Cannes multiple times. It felt like the Worst Person in the World was like his coming out to like American audiences, mainstream especially, and art house alike. So I did kind of want a little bit more from this movie, but it was cool to see Stellan Skarsgård in a role that I don't feel like I've seen him in before. Like you mentioned, in a lot of these Western movies, he's like just clearly the villain. The character's a little one-dimensional. This is clearly a multifaceted character that had a lot more emotional depth to it than what I'm used to seeing him play.
And, whether or not, like, this is your first movie seen from Joachim Trier or not, like, Worst Person in the World was huge at the time when it came out. Not necessarily huge, I guess you could say, but I know it got a lot of people's interest, and a lot of people were saying it was one of their favorite films of the year. And I'm glad that audience is still growing. With this movie, kind of having not necessarily American actors, but just seeing them in this movie, even though it's like half English, or I'd say it's still mostly Norwegian, but there's still a lot of English within the movie. Like, I hope like a lot of people will see this and go back on his previous films, just because, yeah, I agree though, his previous films are better. Still haven't seen Thelma though as well. But again, though, just like another fantastic movie, I thought, though, like still on the longer side. But, when you're having a story like this, that's like, very emotional and like great performances, it still flies by very well. And so I'm glad this is making a lot of people's top 10. I don't see it winning a lot at the Oscars. I do see it winning maybe 1 or 2 awards. And I don't think, unfortunately, Stellan Skarsgård is going to win Best Actor for the role. But I would say it's deserving, though. But just, this movie is fantastic, though. And I hope, Trier just keeps getting more movies like this, gets to do what he wants, and builds his audience for it.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed this movie, and I feel like if you get the chance to watch it, especially before the Oscars, this could be a good movie to watch before you go check that out. It might win something. We'll see. I feel like there could be a gimme. There's a lot of good actor performances this year, and Stellan Skarsgård is good. But in any other year, I feel like he could easily win. This might be a harder year for him to win in, but I could still see it happening. He could be the dark horse there, just be getting, for his, he has an illustrious career. He might just be getting thrown an Oscar for it. But yeah, we'll have to see. I definitely say check this out if you get the chance. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, it's in theaters still, so be sure to catch out if you're still trying to see the 10 movies that are nominated for Best Picture. Should be available to rent too. If it is, check it out through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below, because that's a great way to help support the show.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, you can catch all our social media links down below. We have Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We also have our own personal letterbox accounts. That's it for this week. Tune in next week for a brand new video.